When the baboons had gone, Tarzan took the woman's hand and held it against his. They were alike. He gazed into her eyes. Could be. Was she a creature like him? Tarzan, he said, pointing to himself. Jane, she said, pointing to herself. Jane and her father, Professor Porter, had come from England to study gorillas. Their guide, a hunter named Clayton, was the one who had fired the rifle shot. Jane eagerly told them both about Tarzan, the amazing ape man who had saved her from the baboons. Meanwhile, Tarzan had rejoined his family. Kerchak ordered everyone to stay away from the strangers. They mean us no harm, Tarzan protested. I don't know that, Kerchak replied. Protect your family and stay away from them, he told Tarzan. Why didn't you tell me there are creatures like me? Tarzan asked Kala. The next day, Tarzan found his way to the humans' camp. Jane happily showed him pictures of the outside world and began teaching him English. Tarzan learned quickly. Tarzan showed Jane his world too, the leafy jungle plants and the beautiful, brightly colored birds. Professor Porter could see that a special friendship was forming between Tarzan and his daughter. The professor himself was eager to learn all he could from Tarzan, but Clayton only wanted Tarzan to lead them to the gorillas. At first, Tarzan refused. He knew Kerchak would be angry. All too soon, Jane told Tarzan that she and her father were preparing to go home. Please come with us, she said. Jane must stay with Tarzan, he told her. Fighting back tears, Jane said that she couldn't. Only one thing will keep her here, Clayton told Tarzan, if she could see the gorillas. Desperate not to lose Jane, Tarzan led the humans to the gorillas. The porters were enchanted. As Jane played with some babies, Clayton made a map showing the gorillas' location. When Kerchak saw the humans, he charged towards Clayton. Go! Tarzan shouted to the humans as he held Kerchak back. When the humans had gone, Kerchak glared at Tarzan. I'm sorry, said Tarzan. Kala knew it was time to show Tarzan the treehouse. I should have done this long ago, she said. There he found a picture of himself as a baby with his human parents. Now you know, Tarzan, said Kala, and she left him alone. Moments later, Tarzan appeared dressed in his father's clothes. He had decided to go with the porters and live in the human world. No matter where I go, you will always be my mother, he told Kala, and you will always be in my heart, Kala said tenderly. The following morning, Turk and her friend Tantor watched sadly from the edge of the jungle as Tarzan, Clayton, and the porters rowed out to their ship. Tarzan followed the porters aboard, only to find that the deck was filled with cages. At Clayton's orders, some rough-looking men grabbed the three of them and began forcing them below deck. Clayton! Cried Tarzan. Help! These cages are for your furry friends, he sneered. I'm going to sell them for 300 pounds each, and I couldn't have done it without you. Lock them all up, he told his men. Realizing what he had done, Tarzan let out a cry of despair. Turk and Tantor heard it and headed straight for the ship. Meanwhile, Clayton and his men made their way to the gorilla's home and started to capture the apes. Suddenly, Tarzan's yell pierced the air. He arrived with an army of animals, including Tantor carrying Turk and the porters on his back. They quickly freed the gorillas. Angrily, Clayton fired at Tarzan, wounding him. As Clayton raised his rifle again, Kerchak charged and took the bullet meant for Tarzan. Clayton chased Tarzan up into the trees. Tarzan grabbed Clayton's rifle and broke it against a branch. Clayton hit out wildly with his knife, but he fell from the tree. He would never trouble the gorillas again. Tarzan ran to Kerchak. Forgive me, Tarzan begged. No, gasped Kerchak. You forgive me for not understanding that you have always been one of us. Take care of our family, my son. The next morning, Tarzan and Jane stood on the beach, saying goodbye. I'll miss you, Jane, said Tarzan softly. He took her hand and held it against his, just as he had done when they had first met. Weeping, Jane broke away and ran to the boat where her father was waiting. "You should stay, dear," said Professor Porter to Jane. "You love him." Jane knew that her father was right. She jumped out of the boat and ran to Tarzan's arms. All the gorillas cheered and welcomed Jane's return. Then Professor Porter decided to stay too. Tarzan was with the family he loved in his jungle home. Now, with Jane by his side, he knew that he would always be where he belonged.